And I can actually build my confidence, not because something has gone super well, it is because I can deal with things that aren't going well. It's sometimes we get utterly dragged down by the fact that confidence comes from doing something well. Confidence actually comes from recovering from things that aren't going well, from reassessing, resetting, getting our partnership back on track, getting our horse's attention, making sure my horse doesn't feel let down from this moment. So it's sometimes not about doing something really well that gains our confidence. It's actually about how we reset, how we put the jigsaw back together, how we make sure our horse is still on board, how we really evaluate, what's the most important thing to do next, what's required, and is it safe for my horse and I to keep going, or is it something that we need to pull out from it completely? And if I have the confidence to pull myself out of a situation and stand by that situation and stand by that decision, then that's actually a stronger thing as well. So confidence isn't about doing something well. Confidence actually builds from the ability to understand what's the skill, what's the ingredients, but then also being able to reset, reestablish, and redefine what's important in this moment. Confidence, one of the things that you always get asked about as a coach: how can I improve it? How do I have it? How can I retain it more? It is without doubt one of the biggest questions, the biggest requests as a coach that you'll ever come across. So let's talk about just the fundamental understanding of what confidence is. For a start, confidence comes from doing a skill or a series of skills well and repeatedly, knowing that you can, without doubt, do it well, or if there is a mistake, you know how to reset and redo. And yet we always base our confidence on the fact that we should have it before we improve the skill or the ingredients that go with that skill. And that's one of the fundamental things that we need to understand, that making sure that we understand what is the task that I'm actually trying to make sure I'm doing as a rider. If we think of it as I just want to gain confidence, that's a very broad, really broad assumption. Whereas if we think of it, I want to do it in this particular area, I want to improve my confidence in this particular moment, then that becomes easy, because then we can look at the skills that are involved, we can look at where all the skills are at, all the ingredients that are involved in that, and then from there we can build a plan to make sure that it becomes repeatable and all those skills are working as well as individually, but intermeshing all into one, and our horse is also in the same understanding. So then we can often break down a task and a skill into very small chunk bite sizes, and from there we can build all those little chunks together to get to our end goal. Now, of course, at some point that's going to get to a pinnacle, and when we get to a pinnacle, then that becomes that confidence of, do I understand I am taking this moment that may be a pass or fail, that may be quite difficult to achieve. However, that pass or fail isn't a reflection of whether I was in the right. However, that's not then reflecting on whether I have done my homework, because I have chunked all these things together. It's now at that crux moment where I've got to step fully into that moment. So that's our confidence moment in there, where do I understand all those little things have come together to make this moment achievable. But the biggest thing we have to remember with that is I actually have put myself there. So I've already shown a little sense of confidence in, I want to try and get this done. And once we understand that we have to have some confidence even just to show up, once again, we have to have some confidence and to have had some self-esteem and have a certain sense of ego to actually go through this whole process, then leaning into that last bit, that last pinnacle, that last moment where it is a little bit all or nothing. Because a lot of the earlier steps can be building blocks, and we can not make it, or we can make it so it is not an all or nothing strategy. But at some point in riding, and especially in jumping, it becomes a pinnacle pressure moment, that in this moment I have to deliver. So then it's about sometimes exposing myself to that sort of pressure. And so it then goes about on a slightly different tangent of exposing myself to pressure, or perceived pressure, or whether my horse is understanding the pressure, whether I'm telegraphing any emotions, whether my horse has got any storms, whether I've got any storms, whether our past histories together make this moment more difficult than others. However, once I get through all that, exposing myself and leaning into that moment is still about understanding skill, and still about not necessarily suppressing the emotions, because the emotions are always there. We'll always have emotions, good, bad, or indifferent. We'll always have emotions. We are in a sensory world, and part of that sensory is emotions that go with that. So having an emotion of uncertainty, having an emotion of, am I really ready for this, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not. And also, we want to grade that. Like, is it that whether I'll do it absolutely at my best, or will I be able to at least do it in a workable way and get it done? Because if I can allow myself to at least get it done, then I can start improving it. If I keep pulling away from the fact that it's not going to be its absolute best, then I'm not going through that pressure moment, because I'm always putting a handbrake on it. So if I understand the fact that it is better to get it done, and get it done in a workable way, and then I can start to improve it, and then I can repeat it, and then I can also reset from it, and then also don't get bogged down in it. All those things make it so much better, and I can actually build my confidence, not because something has gone super well, it is because I can deal with things that aren't going well. It's sometimes we get utterly dragged down by the fact that confidence comes from doing something well. Confidence actually comes from recovering from things that aren't going well, from reassessing, resetting, getting our partnership back on track, getting our horse's attention, making sure my horse doesn't feel let down from this moment. So it's sometimes not about doing something really well that gains our confidence. It's actually about how we reset, how we put the jigsaw back together, how we make sure our horse is still on board, how we really evaluate, what's the most important thing to do next, what's required, and, is it safe for my horse and I to keep going, or is it something that we need to pull out from completely? And if I have the confidence to pull myself out of a situation and stand by that situation and stand by that decision, then that's actually a stronger thing as well. So confidence isn't about doing something well. Confidence actually builds from the ability to understand what's the skill, what's the ingredients, but then also being able to reset, reestablish, and redefine what's important in this moment. Confidence is an emotion, but confidence also comes about from actually feeling that it is wrapped up in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Confidence, we sometimes, when we're lacking it, feels it's all about the good things. Confidence we can actually gain more confidence from, sometimes having a bad moment, but being able to recover from it, or having a bad moment and actually understanding it, not being overwhelmed by it, than actually doing something well. So when you think of saying to someone, I really want to build my confidence, digging down into, what's the task that you're actually trying to do here, and what's the skills that are involved and what's all the ingredients that make up those skills. But then importantly, am I making it workable? Am I understanding my resets? Am I understanding my outs? Am I able to work still and bring my horse as a partner along? So confidence isn't just about the fact of I should feel confident. Confidence is actually a lot about what makes this thing work, and if it's not working, what do I do about that? There'll always be a pointy bit in every scenario where it is a little bit of an all or nothing strategy, an all or nothing moment. But whether you have a pass in that moment or a fail in that moment isn't necessarily a reflection of whether that moment has gone completely well. Because if I can learn from those moments, I might still make the same mistake again, but I can actually lean into, do I need to try harder? Do I need to understand my ingredients more? Do I need to step out and go back and practice some of the skills? Or do I need to just simply expose myself to pressure moments? So pressure moments in themselves can be very intimidating, but that doesn't mean we have to avoid them. See what you come up with all those little thoughts. Confidence is one of those things that we all want more of it. Unless you have an ego the size of a planet, you'll always have periods where you go up and down. And in fact, as a risk-taking sport, we should have times where our confidence is a little low because we want to look a little bit more carefully at the risks we're taking and the joy and what that is bringing from us. So don't always be overly concerned that my confidence is feeling a little low, but then be mindful about how you go about picking up. Like, we all like to have some winners. We all like to have situations that we've made it easier for ourselves and easier for our horse. So confidence, like a lot of things in life, isn't static. It will change over time, whether that's with this horse or with another horse or a certain series of events and situations. It doesn't mean that you're not capable. Confidence has nothing to do with capability. Perhaps it's a time thing. Perhaps you're putting unrealistic expectations on the time that you're trying to put aside to do it because someone else, the comparison game. And don't forget, it is a relationship with a horse. So just because you're feeling confident doesn't mean they're suddenly feeling confident. We've always got to understand that at the end of the day, there's two heartbeats that are on this journey. Your horse and you. And you have to convince both yourself and your horse that whatever you're going to try and do is something they want to try and do as well. And importantly, with you. Anyway, take care. Let me know how you've overcome confident situations. Let me know how sometimes, and sometimes we can seem really unconfident within ourselves, and yet to the outside world, we can look a very confident rider, a confident speaker, a confident doer. And yet our little voice inside was saying all the time, I'm not sure. But being unsure doesn't mean it's not possible. Take care. Hopefully like and subscribe. I'll catch you on the next video.